A 3-row, all-electric SUV with more than 400 miles of range. Well, that is an enticing offer, especially when it looks this good. But the 2025 Rivian R1S is not like most vehicles, from the way you get in, to the way you drive it, to the way you stop, lock up, and walk away. This is a futuristic SUV, and it gets some high-tech improvements for the 2025 model year. But how is it to live with? Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to the CarGurus YouTube channel. Now, unlike most of our reviews, we'll get to the exterior bits later. Let's start inside. And to do that, you'll need this. No, it's not a credit card, it's a key. Tap it to the door handle and watch them extend from the sheet metal. Now, once inside, don't look too hard for an ignition button. There isn't one. With Rivians, the touchscreen display is more than just the stylistic centerpiece. It's the entire car's nerve center. The good news is that it's big and beautiful, 15.6 inches. Even better, the interface has been redesigned and the graphics are both beautiful to look at and pretty fast. Rivian is one of those new car companies that also fancies itself a bit of a tech company. And as such, for a vehicle like the R1S, well, connectivity is core to its operation. Now, there are some huge benefits to having a connected vehicle. For one, over-the-air software updates means that the tech is always going to be cutting edge. And then you have the navigation system, which operates in real time with real data. Best yet, both of those features, the OTA updates and the navigation, they're included as standard features. You don't have to pay extra for them. And then there's all the stuff this SUV can do if you do incur a little extra cost. Rivian Connect Plus puts connected features like Apple Music, Audible, and Spotify right into the screen. YouTube and even Google Cast technology are reportedly on their way. Connect Plus also adds hotspot connectivity and Gear Guard, essentially a security system that uses the R1S's cameras to keep an eye on things while it's parked. It also records footage if you have a driving incident. We had none of those while I was driving. This one, that's someone else. I don't even know where Trabuco Road is. Connect Plus isn't free. It's $14.99 per month or $149.99 per year if you opt for an annual plan. These SUVs aren't cheap, so if you're going to shell out for a Rivian, do yourself a favor and pay for Connect Plus. For one, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, they aren't even offered on the R1S. So if you want to take the tech from good and make it great, you really need that extra software subscription. Now, there are some downsides to the entirely screen-centric design here. The biggest one, in my opinion, is that physical buttons do not rule the roost in this Rivian. Instead, if you need to adjust your seat heater, change the drive mode, or even pop the front trunk or the rear trunk, you're gonna do it via a button on the screen. And if you find that annoying, just wait until you hear about how you change the side view mirrors. Because first you have to press that button, and then you press that button, and only then can you use the steering wheel mounted controls to set your proper view. If you don't do the touchscreen song and dance, well then these don't adjust the mirrors. They change the radio station or something. So let's recap. If you buy a Rivian R1S, you're going to use a hotel key to get into it. There is no button to turn it on. And if you want to adjust the mirrors, you're going to need to read the user manual. Still with me? A new tri-motor powertrain is available in the 2025 Rivian R1S. With 2 motors in the rear and 1 up front, it makes 850 horsepower and 1,103 pound-feet of torque. Now, those are pretty silly numbers, but what's wild is it's not even the most powerful option. That would be the quad-motor Rivian R1S, which, while not new for 2025, does get a serious power bump. Horsepower is now 1,025 and you get 1,198 pound-feet of torque. I bet they really wish they got to 1,200 pound-feet. Nevertheless, it will still do 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. which between you and me feels a little fast for a vehicle of this size. I mean, those are physics-bending figures. Our car is a dual motor, which normally makes 533 horsepower and 610 pound-feet of torque. Perfectly respectable figures. But with the performance upgrade, ours makes 665 horsepower and 829 pound-feet. Trust me, it's plenty quick. The 2025 Rivian R1S also benefits from an upgraded electrical architecture that reduces the number of ECUs, cuts out more than a mile of wiring, and adds a more efficient battery layout. And the result is that driving range bumps up to 329 miles with the dual motor and standard range battery, or 410 with our max battery. If you buy a base trim R1S, you get 270 miles of range. It drives beautifully so often in EVs. Either the steering will feel overly light, or the pedal feel is a little too twitchy or grabby, or both. But in the R1S, I mean, the steering feel is beautifully weighted. A little light at highway speeds, but in 90% of the driving I've done, it's felt perfectly weighted. And the pedal feel, I mean, granted, it is an electric car, so it has regenerative braking, and you have that to contend with, but the regen is super linear and predictable. And the pedal feel itself, I mean, it just feels like you would expect from any three-row crossover SUV. You have a decent amount of travel on the brake pedal, but nothing ever feels too light, too sensitive, too twitchy. The 2025 R1S has some suspension retuning that successfully smooths out the ride even over potholed streets. It also doesn't lean aggressively through corners. Rivian says the 2025 R1S is fitted with new air springs, and the adaptive dampers and hydraulic roll mitigation system have also been updated. Now, it is hard to make any 6,500 pound SUV feel like you're not driving a boat, but by George, Rivian's done it. We've talked about range, and to be sure, most shoppers will see 410 miles and go home happy. Of course, that doesn't really tell the whole story. Battery capacity ranges from 92.5 to 141.5 kilowatt hours of usable energy. Now, regardless of which battery you get, you can expect about 2.9 to 3 miles per kilowatt hour, which is pretty good efficiency, honestly. Now, again, it all demands the right circumstances. So you have to be doing some mixed driving, city and highway, to see that sort of efficiency. If you just put this on the highway, I have a feeling we're gonna need a recharge before we hit 400 miles. And when it does come time to recharge, well, we should get 10 to 80% of that charge in about 40 minutes if we can find a DC fast charger capable of matching the Rivian R1S's 220 kilowatt rate. The sound and vision package costs $2,500 and adds the dynamic glass roof and Rivian's premium audio system. The roof is cool. I particularly like the glass portion above the third row seats. And I'm equally impressed by the stereo. Now, it might not have a high-end audio company's name on the speakers, but it still delivers a very warm, rich, and full sound. It's like a nice, thick soup. Yeah, Elliot didn't understand what I meant by that either. Yeah, oh, okay. Going along with Rivian's connected ethos, there are USB-C ports everywhere in this thing. We have 2 in the center console bin, plus 2 wireless charging pads, 2 in the rear seat control panel, 2 in the back of the headrests, and 2 more in the storage bins under the armrests of the third row. The Rivian R1S is so impressive, and it has so many positives, but it also has a lot of those buts. For instance, the front seats, oh, great material, very comfortable, but the rear seats, stupid hard to adjust. The interior, very impressive. We've got open pore wood. These pieces that would be plastic in other cars, this is metal here. It looks and feels really well built. But the packaging is a little tight. I mean, the Kia EV9, not nearly this impressively appointed. doesn't feel this nice. But it's a lot roomier. If I set the driver's seat to my position and I also want to fit someone my size in the third row, I'm left with very little legroom in the middle row. Now, if I set the second row to a more comfortable position, there's not a chance I'm squeezing in the way back. Rivian has a split tailgate like a Range Rover or a BMW X5. Open the top portion via this button, and then this one folds down to the lower third. This is great if you're organizing gear at a trailhead or at the campsite, and then you've got 17-ish cubic feet behind the third row. Certainly not bad. There's an additional 5 cubic feet underneath the floor, and of course you have the 11 cubic foot front trunk. Now, folding the middle row of seats is easy because they have these 2 powered buttons here. Just before you press those buttons, make sure the middle row is in a slid back position, otherwise you'll hit the front seats. Now, the third row is not powered, but it's easy to put down. You just grab this lever, throw it down. The only problem is once it is down, well, there's no strap to pull it back up, and you actually have to pull that lever to release it again. It's a real pain in the butt. You either have to go to the second row, make sure that's folded, and then fold it back up, or you have to climb all the way in. In fact, I'm not even gonna do it. This car costs over $100,000. Give me powered controls for both rows of seats, please. And yes, you heard me right. Our test car stickers for about $102,000, and the R1S, it starts at around 76 grand. Now, those prices are in line with a Tesla Model X, but it's a far sight more expensive than a Kia EV9. Of course, in my opinion, the R1S looks and feels so much better than either of those options. From the attractive styling, the distinctive headlights, and these sweet, almost monoblock wheels, a $1,000 option, the R1S nails the outdoorsy, adventurous spirit. It's not the perfect EV SUV, but it is definitely the coolest. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe to the CarGurus YouTube channel.